Hey guys, I'm back, and tonight, I want to talk a little bit about, you know, being in a relationship and how as a black man it's different, you know. So a couple of years ago, I was dating this Latina. I met her while working at a tech company, and I was just working at working as a contractor, doing okay for myself. I was fairly new to the office. I go and come, knew everyone, do a lot of after work party. Um, and then I think our interaction was always like, hi, by the coffee machine or what have you. And then, as new people come in and she's starting to realize that, I knew more people than her, it gave me some kind of like credibility. Like, oh shit, everyone knows William, And then I became popular. And a couple of young girls, pretty much they were like hovering around me, after work. They don't leave without, us walking out together. Actually, it was this hot Asian girl. Um, and nothing was really going on. I think I was slow to catch on that she was really into me, but she was also like very, very. She was looking for a better deal. In other words, she checked my LinkedIn profile. I do have tons of connections, and she's trying to see who I have in my network that could give her a job. At the time, she was from Australia, and there was this other simp guy from DC. He was trying to hit it too, and my mindset wasn't really trying to hit it. I was just there to get work done, interact with people on a certain level, and even at a couple of times, I asked girls out and never really follow up the next day, So that's how I really move in corporate, and it's fine. But so after the Asian girl left, she was fed up. She couldn't really find anything. She couldn't find a guy to really latch onto. She stopped hanging around or coming around. And I remember one day I was leaving the office and this young lady decided to walk out with me. And then we ended up talking because a bunch of us were going to go play some pool. And she started talking to me, and after that, like she figured out that after I leave the office, I go somewhere else to get some work done, and that's when we started, kind of like working late together after work. Um, what how we started dating was she used to invite me, to come to her neck of the woods, and one night we did, and we ended up heading home to her place that same night, and I gave her maybe like 2 rounds, 2 rounds. After round one, she was like, "Oh my God, it's so hard." But that's not the story I'm trying to tell you. But after that, it became a consistent thing where I would just pretty much hanging out with her and digging it out and hanging out with her and digging it out, and it was awesome, man. I mean, sex was amazing. At least on my end. On hers, it was great too, because she would just call me and say, "Hey, listen, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Nothing." She was like, "I just want some dick." So that was an interesting relationship. What killed me was when I told her that I loved her, and that's when we got into a relationship. And so after maybe a year or two, she invited me to a family Thanksgiving. But here's what happened before that. She, me and her was working on building up content together. Because we're She had a failed e-commerce platform. I didn't work out too well. I had at the time I had a failed retail business, so I was, pretty much coaching her. It's like, hey, you're in a great space. But she ended up folding the company. Couldn't deal with the day to day. So we had something in common. Um, but she used to post a lot of pictures on Instagram, and I never commented, but I always liked our pictures. But what I didn't realize that she had other family members that was trolling her fish pictures, um, looking at who she's liking, who she's talking to. So one day I was super busy, and she kind of like post a picture, and my comment was that ass, right? And come to find out, her uncle, she's Latina, was a bigot. So this uncle called her father up and they called her mom up and say, hey, you know, um, my niece is dating, this obnoxious, brown guy or what have you. At the time, he saw, I put logos up of the college that I went to, and, a lot of my posts were pretty much clean, but the fact that I commented that ass got me into shit. So fast forward, she invited me to Thanksgiving. It was about time. For a mother and father divorce. Mother can't stand her father. No, I know why. And we walk up to the house. I met her brother before because her brother had come to the office, while he was unemployed, and we were chatting for a bit. Um, we had something in common in terms of people that we worked for before and being in the same industry. But I didn't get the feeling that you know, he liked me. And that's so going back to being a black man dating, in a mixed environment is not only do you have brothers that don't like you, you have fathers that don't like you. And, I always say to myself, if you're like a multi-millionaire basketball player or athlete or entertainer, they welcome your type in their family because you're bringing equity, into their family. But if you are just a 9 to 5 Joe, you're like, just get a regular, you know, um, just get a regular white guy or a regular Spanish guy. And my girlfriend before her, she was from Central America and she was also Latina. And she's like, she can't stand Latino men, So a lot of what we see in terms of interracial dating is just people can't stand the quality that they have in their culture, so they have to move on to something different, you know? And because the black man is a standard of masculinity, when women are looking to date out, yeah, like, so if you're an Indian girl, sure, like, I've had friends that black got men that were Jamaican men that were married to Indian women, like traditional Indian women, um, and they had children together. So yeah, that didn't really work out. They divorced years later. But then I've never really seen a white Indian woman. I'm sure these white guys, when they go to India, that's all they do, buy cheap pussy. But I've never seen that in America so far. I've seen a Japanese and an Indian. But when these women do that, they're just looking for, when they date that way, they're really just monkey branch into something better. Like I've seen this hot white girl with a Chinese guy, and by the look of his face, I could tell, like, he comes from, his father probably owns a factory somewhere in China, and she knows that, and they met at school, or on a higher level, they probably, I think they were probably both of them were in law school because we're close to NYU law school in the village. So back to the story, when women in general, when they want to date out on a global scale, I mean on a larger scale, they look for men that have great reputation in terms of money, looks, and status. And for the most part, if you date a black guy, what the Latina told me, she was like, yeah, you guys have style, you guys have charisma, you guys are funny, you guys have more attractive bodies, and I've all you know, and that's what a man should be. That's what a man should look like. And white guys in general hate it. Sometimes they cringe at the fact that they see a guy like me or a guy like you with something different. Um, a good example, I was having ice cream with this young lady I met from Thailand, and she had some nice shorts on. She had like a nice little butt going on, and I'm just having ice cream, and this fat white guy was just staring at us like, why? And I looked at him and I was like, why not? Because he was just fat and out of shape and looked smelly. And I just had this little, this fine piece of ass, pretty much eating out my cup of ice cream. And it's that's the type of mentality that weak men have. They just don't want to see other men thrive that have more than they do. Now, in Western society, white guys in general just market themselves of having more than every other group of men. Oh, we have more money than Spanish guys. Oh, we have family legacy. It's just they're the default male. So if you're the default male, you should just benefit from all the positive stereotypes. But the truth is, they really don't. When I see a girl looking to settle for a man that's small and weak and don't have no masculinity, I'm looking for what I'm looking at a woman that don't have any strong game. I'm looking at a woman that just want to settle for what she needs. A home, someone with a steady paycheck, and that's pretty much her protection. That's it. Women that really don't want to step their game up to be with a masculine man. Why? Because we're gonna get their ass there. If they're fat, we're gonna get them in their gym. They got bad attitudes, we're gonna tell them to shape up. They don't got no plans, we're gonna give them plans. You know, and but with my girl at Thanksgiving, right before we were playing football with the kids, my father tried to call me out. I was like, hey, what was that post about? He start, giving me that talk like, oh, I'm not a racist. I do all this stuff for black people. He is a fucking like probably a janitor somewhere in the LA school system, you know. And but he was talking to me like I want the best for my daughter, and it seems like you're not the best person for my daughter. I'm like, I've been banging your daughter for 2 years. We're having no problems. Our mom is cool with our relationship. We haven't had any problems. So, um, yeah. So I pretty much stand up to the old man. I was like, listen, like my girlfriend came outside. I was like, come on, let's go inside. Let's go inside and eat. And we went inside and eat. He sat next to me. He didn't really talk to me. Uh, but I was in on the conversation, and it was just like it was great for me because I get to see you know um how hateful other men are when they feel like the funny part is the old man probably don't have a legacy. He probably gonna just left a 401k, doesn't own a house, you know. So I'm like, I'm the young guy with the brains and the bronze to anything improve the quality of life of your daughter. You know, why would you think that I'm not a decent person because I commented, oh, that ass on Facebook, and I felt our relationship was going through a little bit of turmoil because she was cursing out a family member, stay out of my life. I'm old enough. And I don't know if that was a turning point, but we pretty much stuck it out. I don't really care. And I'm sure she didn't really care either. But that's just the next scenario of what a lot of us, black men have to go through. You know, we go through a phase where every situation that enters in our life becomes a challenge. And if we don't work hard to overcome that challenge, it's going to make us or break us. In this case, I feel like it made me, right? Because I stand up in front of him and I was like, listen, I lied. I was like, yeah, my account got hacked. But, like, if I had more time with him, I would have really given him a piece of my mind in a really, you know, um, man to man way. Because he's gonna go through all his stereotypical bullshit, and I'm just gonna give it to him straightforward, you know. But fast forward, we broke up. I couldn't, live together with her anymore. I realized she had her own family issues, and when you from a family that's hateful, you could see how it kind of trickle down to through the bloodline. Sometimes the women try to change, but the men, it's like they 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 have the same resentment. It could be sometimes for their own fathers or their own mothers, and they're still just so fucking weak. The fact that the mother hate the father, they can't be in the same place at the same time because maybe that's why she left him in the first place. You know, this motherfucker is a bigot. And part of that is probably why the divorce rate is so high in America. It's like women are marrying men, and they think these guys are awesome men, and these men are in their race, and then later on, they come to find out, they're bigots. You know, and that to me, that's a win-win when other men behave below, show their true colors, especially in front of their family members. It just makes you a better man. And what it does, it's liberalism destroy the women in Black America because they all follow each other, right? So for a black man, I'm mixed. So I have an Asian option, and I could have a black woman option, or lately, the Afro Latina is an awesome option too. But I have friends that have been married to Afro Latino and they've gotten divorced. So there is no great woman for any man in the Western hemisphere. At least from my perspective. Once they are in the Western hemisphere and they're exposed to the media and other, feminist ideals, after a while they become your worst nightmare. They would like to rule over you. So not only the black man has to deal with, fighting brothers and fighting fathers, he has to deal with the same woman that loves him and the same woman he loves. He has to deal with her feminist ideology as well. And so that's just plenty of reason, not to date anymore. You know, um, you could go out, have a good time. If a hookup happens, make it happen, but just drop it. Don't pursue these girls. Just leave them alone. Let them, just leave them alone. Let them get caught up in their career. Let them stay stuck in their racist family. Let them live their lives out with cats and dogs. You continue to save and invest your money, build businesses, and do things to make yourself happy And hopefully, when you're at a certain level in life, you could, kind of like pass down the knowledge to the next generation. It doesn't have to be your children, but hopefully a next generation that could get it, could really understand it, you know? And that's the mindset that, us men should have. Stay up.